So it's day 5, night 5 of Navratri, and we're focusing on Katyayini. Katyayini is the goddess who stood up for herself. She's the one who had the leverage and the courage to sever from things that would own her. I want to pair that teaching with Rick Hanson's ideas about equanimity and how we can cultivate it in our own lives. Because what I see Katyayini, I'm extrapolating and I'm making it my own story and what I need right now, which is non-reactivity, right? We are definitely dealing with some tyrannical forces in our lives, and we have to deal with those. What we don't want is to create more suffering out of it. So my ideas about this and Rick Hanson's ideas about Buddhist philosophy on equanimity work very well together. And I think they also work very well with pain relieving exercises for a walk. Now, how does a walk come into all of this? It's springtime in the northern hemisphere, and we are coming off of a tamasic time, right? So what we want to do is get moving. Great way that my teachers in India have been helping me to do that is to remind me to go for a 30-minute walk after meals. And we're doing fasting and meditation right now, so we're only doing 2 meals a day. But after my first one, I took the dogs for a very long walk, and I need to rebalance my load joints, right? We've done energy blockage removal, we've done nerve flossing, and now we're going to do pain relieving. So after a walk, I get my stool, which is about below hip width, and I pop the top of my foot up on it. Now, you're going to say to me, Lynn, isn't that the same thing as holding the back of your ankle? And no, it isn't. That would do things to my spine that I don't want to do. And I'm going to focus forward and hold this for 60 seconds. I'll probably hold it for a little bit longer than that because I'm going to explain 4 things to you while I'm here. In order to cultivate equanimity, what we want to do is follow Rick Hanson's ideas, which come straight out of Buddhism. First of all, and we've talked about this a lot in the blog, we want to understand the mind. The hedonic state, the feeling state, the state of emotion is a reactive sort of state. We want to kind of arrest it before we move into action, right? Because we don't want to act from an emotional place. We want to act from the place where we're connected to our higher power, whatever that looks like to you. That's where power is derived. And when I'm in an emotional state and I react from there, my reactions are not wise. So the craving and the thirst that comes as a response to anything that happens, not just tyranny, is the kind of thing that leads me to clinging and therefore to suffering. And I can follow it back. I can follow my own reactions back from there directly to whatever the stimulus was. If I go from where am I suffering to what am I holding on to what that stimulus is, whatever that aversion or clinging came from, or whatever I want or don't want, right? I can insert that buffer of equanimity there, that moment where I'm realizing, I'm either having a pleasant, unpleasant neutral or relational response to whatever it is. Let's switch to the other leg now. That feels better already. We really stretched the front hip flexor there and the quad muscle. It's great if you have something this size. A stool works better than a chair, works better than a couch, but whatever you've got to start, just go ahead and start there. So we're going to take the other foot up and back. The first precept, the first condition that Rick Hanson, the evolutionary neurobiologist, psychologist, brilliant guy, is giving us is understanding your mind, right? So there's a stimulus in front of me. I go into wanting or not wanting. Then I go into clinging to whatever the craving or thirst is, and then I suffer. So if I can develop a little bit of detachment between myself and all things, and the way we've been exploring that through Navratri is by connecting to the all that is, not just the specific thing, reminding ourselves that that's a part of everything, then we have a little buffer zone and we have a way of getting back to our freedom. I'm starting to lean back. I need to bring myself forward. I want to line up hips, shoulders, knees, all of it. The second thing that we can do to foster equanimity in difficult times is to manage our negativity bias. There's a lot in the mammalian brain that has evolved to protect us from difficult things. And the brain definitely becomes reactive, more reactive to unpleasant things than it does to pleasant, although it's very easily able to cling to pleasant things and be averse to the unpleasant things. So we need to manage our negativity, and we need to realize that there is a space between liking and wanting, a space between disliking and aversion, hating, and a space between relatedness and manipulation, a space between being in healthy, positive relationship with someone and using someone to get what I want. And in between those things, like dislike, relatedness and manipulation, is the freedom I have to choose, right? So I have to choose between liking something and wanting it or having to have it, between disliking something or hating it, and between relating to something and deriving things out of it or being extractive toward it. In there is my freedom, and that's how I can manage unpleasantness. The news capitalizes on this, that we all have this negativity bias at the fore in our minds. So that's the second way that we're going to manage our minds, is by managing our negativity bias. Now, from my chair stretch, I'm going to move into waterfall pose. There's a couple of different ways that you can do it. And if you have one, a brick is real helpful from going forward here. So I've got my acupressure mat right here, and I'm going to put my calves on top of it, and as best I can, I'm trying to bring my hips and thighs into a 90-degree position, and then I'm going to come to elbows and lie down. Now, the third thing, can you see me at all? Yeah, I think you can. The third thing that I want to do in order to cultivate equanimity, I got a golden retriever sitting by that laptop, and if she decides to pop off, everything could fall apart. So the third thing that I want to do in order to cultivate equanimity in my life and be more like Katyayini, who did not pair with evil, right? We want to, can you go over there for me, baby? Good girl. That's a good girl, Phoebe. Can you lie down? We don't want to combine ourselves with the tyranny and the difficulty that we're seeing in the world. And by the way, this part of the exercise, you're just sitting here. You're just having your knees and hips and ankles in a line with your shoulders, and you're just going to sit. If you can sit for more than 2 minutes, that's great. The third thing is to simply cultivate the good, right? So we're managing our negativity bias in the mind, but we're also deciding to orient ourselves toward things that are helpful, fruitful, and productive in our lives and in the lives of others. It's like growing a garden in the mind. We have to decide that we're going to manage our minds and not be managed by them. That's the first step. We need to work with and understand and manage our negativity bias. That's the second. And then third, we need to cultivate the good. Lying down is good. Lying down with your legs up is very good. Changing the lymph flow in the body after a long walk can feel really, really great. And at the same time, we're letting the spine relax down here. I started out with a really high arch in my back, but now things are moving in another direction and I'm starting to relax. My teachers in Shivananda Guragaon are telling me relaxation is the good. And that's so true. All the other states of mind that we've described are constricted states, right? We don't want to continue with our constricted states of mind. We want to open, be warm-hearted, cultivate relaxation in our attitudes so that we can be connected with others and with the world, despite anything that's going on at any point in time. We don't want suffering within, and we don't want to cause it without. The fourth thing that we can do in order to cultivate equanimity is to deal with what's temporary, deal with the temporal in life, but keep our focus on the perennial. Keep our focus on the eternal. Now at this point, I've been lying here for about 2 minutes. I'm going to take my brick and I'm going to orient it. This way is baby bear. This way is mama bear. This way is papa bear. I'm going to mama bear right between my knees, and I'm going to squeeze that brick 30 times, but I'm going to do 10 reps 3 times. Can you move your big old body? Thank you. And I'm going to start while I'm talking with you and just continue that on. So we've gotten to our final principle of equanimity. We're managing the brain by understanding the mind, understanding the way that we go into reactive states and then become either clinging or aversive. And we're managing especially the aversive states while we cultivate the good. Now we're going to have an overall focus that moves away from, the argument that you have to have. Katyayini kind of had to have an argument with this guy who was like, I'm going to own you, I'm going to possess you. And she was like, okay, you can do that, but you have to fight me for it. And he thought she would be nowhere near as powerful as him. She was more powerful than he was because she managed her energies, I maintain. Because she came through the first 5 nights of Navratri and was on the 6th night courageous, powerful, and self-possessed. She wasn't giving her Sukshma Sharira to him and saying, oh, how terrible, you're going to take me over. No. She said, all right, if you can win in a fight, a fair fight with me, we'll see, right? And she won. She won because she was eternal, and she knew she was. And she knows that when you're eternal, you win. When you're temporary and when you've only got as much gas as is going to get you to the end of the street or the end of your trip or whatever else is going on, you're not going to make it to the end of the fight, the end of the day. The end. So, summing these up before we move on to our final exercise here. Understanding our minds and how we go from any kind of stimulus into suffering. How we go from confrontation with an object into losing our Sukshma Sharira in it, and therefore encountering the second arrow. Number 2, managing the negativity bias. We all have it. It is the strongest tendency of the brain. Manage it. Deal with it. Be in control of it so it's not in control of you. Cultivate the good. Grow the flowers that connect you to what is wholesome, what is open-hearted, what is warm and loving. And then finally, deal with what is temporary and temporal while keeping your mind and your heart focused toward the eternal. Don't let anybody move you off your center, right? It takes practice, but that's what we're doing. Okay, final thing. I'm going to leave the brick there because I like the way it helps me line up ankles, feet, hips, and shoulders. I know I talk about that constantly, but that's alignment. And that practicing that alignment helps me to practice the alignment of my chakras. Now, if anybody's going to try and tell you you need to open your chakras or you need to adjust them or anything like that, it's not like that. It's alignment. When the body is out of alignment, you know your chakras are out of alignment as well. So these exercises help get the load joints of the body back into alignment and therefore the chakras. I'm going to bring my hands together, and for this exercise for us during Navratri, I'm going to use the Durga Mudra, which is, it looks like the Charlie's Angels gun, but this is Durga Mudra and Kali Mudra. And I'm going to have straight elbows here. And I'm going to do, again, 10 reps of 30, but I'm just going to move my hands back and forth like this with straight arms. And this is going to help me get my shoulders, neck, and head back into proper alignment after a nice long walk. And 10. I don't know if that's 10. I don't count. I do things to completion. I do things until they feel done. But I started out with 10, and when I'm by myself and I'm not making a video about it, I do 10. Next set, I can go a little farther back on this one. And I'm noticing that occasionally my index finger is touching the brick between my knees, and that's kind of a good thing. I'm getting a lot of clicking and popping in my shoulders, so don't be concerned if that happens to you too. There we go, that's the last one. And I just like to rest my hands in between and make it so that my head, neck, and shoulders relax a little bit. And then we're going to do the last 10 here. And I lied. I said this was the final exercise. There's one more. but we're thinking about ways in which we can insert a pause between liking something and craving it or having thirst about it, or disliking something and hating it, right? That was a few more than 10 you noticed, but that's what I needed today, so do what you need. So there's a lot going on right now that is very intensely dislikable. And the astrology of tomorrow is a little tight. So I kind of wanted to come back in, suggest taking a walk, and give you some exercises to get you back into your load joints so that you can deal with the tightness that is tomorrow. It's a Uranus-Saturn thing. And we talked about this back in July this year. And it was actually on July 15th. I remember because that's a special day for me. And it was also the day that there was an assassination attempt on the sitting president. I don't know how tomorrow and that day will correlate with regard to that, but there are going to be a lot of people who are not focused on their equanimity. But that's why I wanted to bring this to you, so that you had an edge, right? You want to be careful tomorrow with any risk-taking, and certainly not be inflammatory if you can avoid it. Just a little astrological heads up. Okay, last couple of exercises. Now we're going to cactus arm here. And from here, all that's going to happen is we're going to drag the whole arm along the ground and bring the hands together so that the index finger and maybe the middle finger touches. This is not as easy as it appears. We're going to, again, do 3 sets of 10. Try very hard to keep as much of your arms on the ground as you can, as much of the back of your hands on the ground as you can while you do this, and then take a little rest in between each set. You'll notice that that arch in the low back kind of happens again, and that's okay. We're rebalancing shoulders, neck, and head here. We went a little higher. So hands again on the floor, and just drag them together. About 10 times. This does for me everything I need. Most of you who know my personal entrepreneurial business know that I hike about 42 miles a week, and it requires rebalancing the body to maintain that and be able to do every day what I need to do. So these pain releasing exercises that rebalance my body and bring me back into my load joints in an equanimous sort of way are very helpful to me. I hope they are to you too. And then let's do the last 10 here. You'll notice the whole time that we've been doing this, we're rebalancing the body by having the legs up and the rest of the body down. The lymphatic system does not have a pump. So we're pumping lymph while we do this. This is excellent for your immune system, which is going to become increasingly important over the next couple of months. Your circulatory system, driving all the fluids, including the blood, toward the heart, and also for kind of keeping the head, neck, shoulders, all of that young and revitalized if you're not doing regular inversions in your yoga practice. Now, let's go ahead and drop the knees down onto the side. Take a moment here, relaxing on this side, and let your equilibrium kind of come back toward you. Real slow and gentle, press into the ground and come up to a seated position. We'll do a quick meditation with our non-dual meditation that we've been working with for the whole of Navratri. I hope you have been. It's very helpful to me, and if it's not to you, I more than understand that. Try to find what is. Try and find something that will bring you closer to equanimity, closer to dynamic equilibrium with everything that's going on right now. It helps. It helps the whole world when you bring yourself into balance. So relax the body as much as you can in a seated posture. If at some point today you've done your Kapalabhati and your Anuloma Viloma, that's very helpful. Becoming more mindful with each inhalation and exhalation. Acknowledging the body's perfect balance, the vehicle of equilibrium that you were born into. And simply listening to the sound of the breath. Notice what is listening. Just notice what is listening. Release the back of your tongue. Let your heart expand out in all directions. And as you notice what is listening, move just a little way back from noticing into the field of awareness itself. It's like saying yes to this present moment. It's like accepting everything exactly as it is and becoming one with everything that is. You are wired to do this. You truly are awareness itself. So this is like being yourself. Relaxed into awareness. Please remain with this feeling for as long as you'd like. Thank you for your time and attention today.